Go ahead.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Think and Grow podcast with your hosts, Dr. Z.
And Professor P.
Super excited to have you back. Super excited for doing this particular segment, which is Tip of the Day.
Tip of the day.
Dr. Z, what's our tip for today?
Yeah, so the tip for today is shift your mindset from seeing commitment as a burden to seeing it as an act of love.
Okay.
Yeah, so this came off of a quote that I found from Anita Krizzan. I believe that's how you say her name. And it says, "You don't have to move mountains. Simply fall in love with life. Be a tornado of happiness, gratitude, and acceptance. You will change the world just by being a warm, kind-hearted human being."
Okay, sounds like that's going to give us some help to deal with this issue. So where are we starting with this?
Yeah, so you probably remember commitment was one of those words that I kind of shied away from, and especially now starting the business and doing all the things that are required, like posting consistently on Facebook and Instagram.
Hate it. No,
Yeah.
don't care for it much, right?
And I think part of that was this perfectionism, like if I wasn't doing it totally right, not that I even knew what right was, and so that made me very uncomfortable. And you remember, it's kind of similar with goal setting.
Yeah, I remember how much you loved goal setting too.
Yeah, I just, it was like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
But then as I thought about it, I'm like, but I am a committed person. I know how to make commitments. Like, we're married,
Right.
Obviously I committed to you. And then even in medical school, there was never really a thought in my mind that I wouldn't graduate. Like, I never considered that. So I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, so with medical school, you decided, you're like, I believe it. I can be a doctor. You committed. You knew it was a long road, but you stayed the course and got it done. It's interesting that there are some things that you're more tuned to staying committed to, and then there's others that you're struggle with that.
And to think about the podcast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing this podcast now. How many episodes?
Since January, right? We got like 15
episodes,
dropped, and we got another 5 or 6 all ready to go for you guys.
And so I've been committed to that,
Yeah.
And it even reminded me when we first started the business, we joined one of our local chamber of commerce. They would have like 7 a.m. meetings.
Ugh, too early for me.
But no, the funny thing was, I wouldn't want to get up sometimes, but then if Professor P was up and getting dressed, that made me go ahead and say, oh, well, if he's up, let me go ahead and get up. And a couple times at the gym too. When Professor P was up and getting ready to go, that motivated me to get up and get dressed.
Yeah,
and
if he's doing it and ready to go, all right, I'll go with him.
Yeah, and so as I thought about that, I said, you know what? It goes back to values. And you all have seen me show these cards, these 4 cards here. They are all related to this program called BANK. And BANK is an acronym, and my code is KBNA. So K is the knowledge card, B is the blueprint, and then N is the nurturing card, and A is the action card. And many of our guests, this action card comes first. But for me, the action card is last. But I asked myself, you know what? Because this knowledge card is a value and a strong value of mine given in medicine, and some of the values that are listed on this are learning, science, research and development, self-mastery. Those are things that I'm really interested in. And then the blueprint is stability, structure, systems. I mean, the whole body is basically a system. And being a forensic pathologist, I totally resonate with that. Yeah. And then with the yellow card, nurturing is relationships.
Yeah.
And self-growth and teamwork.
Authenticity.
Mm-hmm. So all of those are things that I value. Those are my values. Those are things that I love. And those are things that come easy for me.
Okay.
And so I said, how can I incorporate those things that I do love into the commitments where I struggle?
Yeah. So let me jump in here real quick. Yeah. I think what I've noticed with you being the observer of you is that those things, right? We talked about comfort zone stuff. And it's only natural that the things that we love to do, we're going to hit those goals and tackle those tasks way sooner. And the stuff we hate to do, I'll get to that tomorrow.
But obviously, with everything that we do, with this business, there is something that I love about it. And so it's like tapping into that. And so I love learning.
Okay.
I love relationships. I'm doing this with you.
Yeah.
And I love being able to share my growth with others.
Yeah.
Through doing the coaching, the life coaching, I've learned so much about what's important to me and things that make my life a little bit easier or simpler for me that I didn't know about or never had heard about. And I'm still on this journey of discovery.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen tremendous growth in you since you started this whole journey. And I remember the first time we went to any kind of coaching event, because we love to vacation. Oh, let's throw in an event while we're there, okay? So we went to this in Franklin, Tennessee. Your buddy Dan Miller, 48 days to the
work you
love. And we went to this, he had this coaching event. And that was like the first taste of, maybe this coaching thing is something I want to do in the future, right?
For you, or for both of us. Oh, for both of us, yeah.
You were the one. I was like, okay, I'll go with you. Let's go to Tennessee.
Yeah. So coaching just opened up such a new dimension for me that I just had never, and I never really had time. As a medical doctor, you're pretty busy.
Yeah.
And so you never have time to really pursue these interests or even maybe think about things in a different way. And also with a business, because you don't have a defined path, you're creating it along the way, where you're building your airplane.
You're jumping out of the airplane and you're building the parachute on the way down. How many of you out there do that?
So that was really outside of my comfort zone. But yet there is obviously a part of me that enjoys the action also, because we have all 4 of these codes. And so, so it's just discovering different parts of myself through this journey.
Okay, so commitment. Back to the dirty work. The dirty bird. The
dirty word. The nerdy word.
The wordy dirt.
Yeah, the big C.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dig into all right. How have you grown in terms of tackling things that are not on that favorite list that you're like, yeah, I'll get to that next week, but you're like, I got to get it done. It has to be done today. What have you done in that regard?
One thing which has been really interesting, because with almost all of the guests that we've had on, they all talk about the emotional aspect, the passion. But when I think about my blueprint card, the things that I enjoy are when it's just automatic. You just do it because I said, there have been days when I'll go to work. I don't necessarily feel like going to work. I don't necessarily want to go, but I go because I'm committed and I'm responsible. So taking the emotion out of it, because sometimes the emotions can just take me down that rabbit hole of not wanting to do anything. So when it's a blueprint and it's something that I've decided and committed to, I just do it. and I don't think about it as much. I take that emotion out of it. And that's what really enables me to just go ahead and do it because I said I would.
Right. So back to the blueprint, you guys. Systems. You've got the system. Like when you did the weight loss deal, there was that system. You're like, oh, wash, rinse, repeat. I can do this. Blah, 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 blah. You said you're totally it's totally in your wheelhouse. Systems are something you're really comfortable with, and you were able to make it happen and stayed with the system of the maintenance. You guys, diets don't work, right? So stay with that system and redefine your way of living, and you can maintain that weight.
Well, actually, diets do work, but many times we just don't stay on them.
Well, sure, that's what I meant. That people diet and they're like, okay, let's celebrate chocolate cake, ice cream, pick your poison, right?
So for me, it was actually taking a lot of the emotion out of it so that I just do it and don't think too much about it, because I can go down that rabbit hole of thinking too much. Obviously, with my knowledge, I like to think about things, but sometimes if you overthink, then it takes the action out of it.
So what else with the icky part of commitment?
Well, also thinking about the people who are listening to me, the people who are reading my posts, you know, and maybe come to expect me, or I don't want to say expecting like it's a duty, but duty is also part of my blueprint. But just maybe a little bit of a sense of responsibility that, you know, I'm able to share my wisdom with others and they get benefit from it. So then that's also tapping into that nurturing side of myself.
So that's an inspiration, a motivation to get you, to drive you toward taking the action, even though you may not necessarily want to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then to bring in the final, the action, I didn't really read these, but there's a part of me that enjoys the freedom and the flexibility and the fun. Yeah. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Even though love doing this.
It's kind of scary, you know, like when we met each other, you know, it was kind of scary stepping out of our comfort zone, but it's been a cool ride.
I know, right?
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. And then I just wrote down a couple more things. I just said, let this shift in perspective make a difference in your ability to keep your commitments. It can motivate you to become more passionate and dedicated to fulfilling your promises. And I like the idea of promises because, again, that word feels different. Yeah. And it feels more like loving, because you love the people, the places, and the things. Yeah. So it's not just that you're committing in isolation, but your commitment actually allows you to interact and engage with others.
So maybe try to find some things, even though it's not your favorite thing, but what do you like or love about this particular part that needs to get done? Yeah. Right?
Yeah, because you can always find a way to love pretty much everything that you do if you tap into it. Because at the end of the day, we control our thoughts, and it's our thoughts that create our feelings. So we can decide ahead of time how we want to feel about something and go about doing it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me see what else I got here. So by reflecting on that quote from Anita Krizzan, we can recognize the transformative power of love and how it can impact not only our life, but those around us. So by being that warm, kind-hearted human being who embraces life with happiness, gratitude, and acceptance, you can change the world in small but meaningful ways.
Nice. So can you wrap us up with one success story, a win of how you tackled something that was not necessarily on your fave list?
Oh.
Right?
Okay. Well, I'll say networking events.
Okay.
Networking events were definitely a thing where I'm still not great at them. Sometimes I may talk too long to one person. But I found that I enjoy going to them.
Yeah.
There's something about them that I enjoy. And I may not talk to a whole lot of people. I know there's some people that are like totally work the room. I don't know if I'll ever work a room and feel comfortable, but I do like to at least go there, and I know that I'll talk to at least, maybe 3 or 4 people. For me, that's a win.
Yeah, that's huge. I can attest to that, you guys, because when we first met, being in a real estate group, she went for a whole year, and we didn't say boo to a goose to each other. It finally took about a year before I started to get into the house flipping, coaching part of it, and I approached her one day. I started leaving these little tidbits I've talked about in other episodes.
And then we went to an event in Madison, and then I actually got up out of my seat and went and sat next to him to talk more about some of the things that he had been discussing. And so that was kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone, even though he had kind of broken the ice.
Right.
It wasn't like we didn't know each other.
Right. But, yeah, guys, that was after a year plus of going to these events. Year plus later, wow. Why are you sitting next to me?
Better late than never, right?
Yeah, better late than not at all. All right, any closing thoughts?
No, just remember that tip of the day. Shift your mindset from seeing commitment as a burden to seeing it as an act of love.
Yeah, and we had Andy Wines on our show the other day, and he talked about I forget what animal he used. But the bull.
The bull, yeah.
He used another one. I can't think of
it. A bison that charges into the storm.
Right. How that full speed ahead, tackle it, just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's got to be done. So
it's got to be done. And what you want is on the other side of that storm. So go after it.
All right. Is that it?
That is it.
Okay, you guys. Another episode of the Tip of the Day.
Tip of the day
is in the books. So until next time.
And as always,
thank you in advance.